خاتم النبيين وإمام المرسلين. Now, we translated that, right? So, let me ask a question to review with you. What's the ruling of someone who does not believe that Sayyidina Rasulullah is Khatam al-Nabiyyin? Someone who does not believe that Sayyidina Rasulullah is Khatam al-Nabiyyin. I mentioned it last class. Yeah. If you don't believe that Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is Khatam al-Nabiyyin, you are a disbeliever. Bittifaq. Or if you believe that there's another prophet after Sayyidina Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, then that is kufr. I don't say go and tell the person you are a kafir. That act in itself is kufru. It's kufr. So if the person is doing it with knowledge, then other things we can say, and you talk to him, you can say he's a kafir. But that's not where we are going. That's not. Isn't that one is not our problem? Because Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "What la nabiyya ba'di, la nabiyya ba'di." نعم مسألة. تصحيح إيمانه. Mhm. Put, you have the تشكيل there. تمام. تصحيح إيمانه أها. ثم عينه. Complete the sentence. والصيام. تمام. I'll translate word for word so that you can keep the word, then we'll do the sharh. Okay? أول means what? First. Ma means what? Yeah, Muhammad, just push it. That thing you want to say exactly. What? Yajibu means what? Compulsory. From wajib. That's the verb of it is compulsory. The verb of compulsoriness. Wajib is the noun. If I say something is wajib, it is compulsory. If I say yajibu, that's the verb, that's the action form. You get it? Ala, upon. Al mukallaf. You know the meaning of mukallaf? Someone who has reached the age of bulu. Yeah. So that's the literal translation. So what would that mean? أول ما يجب على المكلف. Mhm. So that's the way to understand Arabic. What are the first things that are compulsory upon what? A baligh, a mukallaf. So I'll translate word for word and we'll go over the sharh again. Tashih, to make right, from sahih. Tashih, to, the first thing is what? Tashihu imanihi, to make right is what? Is iman. To rectify, to make correct, to authenticate, to verify is what? Imanihi, is iman. ثم, thereafter. ثم, thereafter. Ma'rifah, deep knowledge. Ma'rifah can be used as another word for iman. ثم معرفة, deep knowledge of what? Of ما يصلح, what it will use to correct, به, with it, with that knowledge, فرض عينه. Fard is compulsory, ain is, fard ain is one word. If I translate word for word, it will confuse you, right? There are two types of fard ain and fard kifaya. Individual responsibility is called fard ain. Individual responsibility is called what? Fard kifaya is the second one, is communal responsibility. What does it mean? If I say you people should, after this class, clean up this room, and I went out. After this class, does it matter whether it's Muhammad who cleaned the room or Amal? Once one person has done it, you're okay. That is communal responsibility. It's called fardu kifaya. Example: someone dies, a Muslim dies. Someone in Edmonton has, at least one person has to make janaza upon him. If one Muslim in Edmonton makes janaza upon the person, no sin for all of us. But if no Muslim does the janaza, you know Salatul Janaza, then all the Muslims will have to be blamed for that. Who? And there's no person there, no Muslim there. The question is not clear yet. If someone dies, maybe not for whatever reason, and the Muslims are there, and nobody is standing up to say, I will make janaza, or no group is saying, I will make janaza upon the person, then everybody becomes a sinner. So what if you don't know that? Like, someone has to know. So if nobody knows, it means that what? The person is in the house and nobody knows. Okay, if assume the person is in the wilderness and he dies, nobody knows, then no problem. In the Sharia, if there's something that you don't know, nobody's blamed for it. But we should not live in such a way that someone will be in your community as a Muslim and nobody will know him. He doesn't have family. He doesn't have friends. He doesn't have a mosque or community. You get it? Someone would know. But if possibly no one knows, then no blame. You get it? But if someone knows, he has to tell other people. So that's a quick example. But your salah can, Amal is saying, I'm tired, Muhammad, can you make my salah for me? You can, even if you are ready to help, you can't make it. So that's fardu ayn. So fardu ayn is its own individual responsibility. Whatever concerns you particularly, you must know how to fix it, how to correct it, how to make it right. We'll explain a bit of that and give example. Say ka, for example, kaf with kaf of tashbih. For example, like the kaf in ka ahkam is means what? Like ahkami, hey, the ahkam is salah, like the rulings of salah. It is composed of, you must know the rulings of salah. What tahara, and purification. What siyam, and fasting. Okay, that's the summary. Let's go deep. After the Shaykh completed praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after praising Allah subhanahu and making salutations upon the Prophet, he said, let's what? First thing first. He was not beating around the bush. He said, awwalu. What? The first thing. The ulama had a disagreement upon what is the first thing. But all the disagreement is still upon something, right? It's still what? Upon something. They're like in the Ashari school, there are like 6 arguments. That's not where we're going. I'm not interested in that. But we can try to summarize it. Number one is knowing. This knowledge, is it that the person knows and understands and believes or is convinced or like that, Is it enough to just say, I believe in Allah, even if you don't know what that means? So that's where the argument comes from. If I say, I believe that there is no God but Allah, you don't even know who Allah is. Will that belief count? Will that knowledge count? So, but anyway, the knowledge, is it conviction? Are you convinced? So that's not where we are going. Anyway, we are going with what the Sheikh said, ma'rifah, knowing with full knowledge that La ilaha illallah. Christians, do Christians know that Muslims believe that there is no God but Allah? That their knowledge, does it count that they have Iman? Because they don't believe in it. So that's where the argument comes. That is it just mere knowing that La ilaha illallah exists? That's not what we mean here. We mean knowing and what? Being convinced and accepting. Note that. Know, have the knowledge of La ilaha illallah. You are convinced that truly La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah is true. And what did I say the third one was? Accept it. The ulama go deep and say, in explaining this, he has to know ma yajibu lillah, the attributes that are composed, that are necessity for Allah. I think I missed something. أول ما يجب is what al mukallaf. We have not translated who is a mukallaf. Al mukallaf. So, or by saying أول ما يجب على المكلف, the first thing that is composed upon a mukallaf, meaning that if you are not a mukallaf, it is not what? You are talking to a 7-year-old. Do you have iman? What are the proof? Like, this guy, this is just a 7-year-old. It's not a mukallaf. What? Why do we know it's not composed upon a mukallaf? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Rufi al qalam." Metaphoric statement. The qalam. What is qalam? The pen of what here? Writing the deeds and record. Rufi has been raised. Is not active. And thalathin, upon 3 people. الصبي حتى يبلغ أو حتى يحتلم, a young person until he reaches the age of bulug. So whatever you do, if you have not reached the age of bulug, it's not a sin and it's not a reward in your account. It doesn't count. You're just practicing. Someone wants to say, lakin, but the Prophet ﷺ said, you must command your children to start making salah at the age of 7, right? And this hadith, like you must have heard the hadith. And if they reach the age of bulugh, the age of 10, and they don't make 10, and they don't observe salah, spank them, punish them for it. I didn't say carry a big whip and bang it on their head. Okay? So What is that? It is in out of what? That command is not wajib. It's what? It's to encourage them, to train them. You get. When do you need a job? When you become independent, right? But for you to get a job, you need to start going to school. If someone says, Daddy, but I'm not responsible yet, why should I take education? At least I'm not taking care of myself. Is it the time that you become 18 that you start going to elementary school? You have to what? You have to go to school today. So it's being trained for that. So al-mukallaf, who is a mukallaf? Min al-taklif. Taklif is responsibility. The person who has to have taklif has to what? Be in his right sense. Has to have reached the age of what? Bulugh. If you're in the age of bulugh, but you're out of your mind, will you be called mukallaf? No. If you are a big age of bulugh and you are in the right sense, but you are being coerced, someone is putting a clashing curve, clashing curve, rifle, and say, Muhammad, just like this. So, show you this thing is loaded. And it says, if you move there and say you want to make any salah, the bullet here will go into your skull. And you're seated like this. And time of salah start and it goes. Will you have taklif? No. Because you are under duress. So those three things like that. I don't want to go too deep. So a mukallaf has to be what? Baligh. Reach the age of bulugh. Akil. And must not be what? Yeah. Must not be threatened. Must not be under what? Under coerced or threatened. In the Quran, Allah says, فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Have knowledge of La ilaha illallah, about knowledge. So I don't want to go into all the arguments. We don't need that. So when we get to higher classes, inshallah, we'll be talking about knowledge. So أول ما يجب على المكلف. So we know he's a mukallaf now. The first thing is what? Ma'rifa, knowing about tasheeh imani, what will make his iman valid. So it's not just knowing La ilaha illallah. Understand what La ilaha illallah means. So that you will not do things that will negate La ilaha illallah. Before you know La ilaha illallah, you have to know who Allah is. So that you can give him his rights. Who is Allah? And this the Sheikh is just calling us, that's why I have to learn Aqidah. And we'll take a complete subject on that. You have to know the rights of Allah. What is compulsory? And when we say compulsory, what is the necessity for Allah? Allah has to be what? Give me an example of attribute of Allah that is, Allah has to be alive. Allah has to be living. Allah has to exist. Right? If someone says, my Allah is dead, then the person does not believe in that. Allah has to have what? Give me an example of things that come to your mind. Someone who has to be Allah has to have what? By necessity. Knowledge. See, I'm not sure Allah knows about that. How would he create something that he doesn't know about? If there's someone, and why is this important? Some people claim some things are Allah. Buddhists say they have a concept of God in their mind. Christians have some concept of God in their mind. But if we define what they call God, we say that that thing cannot be God. Because of some attribute that, for example, they say Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, who some of them claim is God, died. So how can God die? So I don't know if I'm making sense to you. If you're saying God, God has to have some attributes. You have to know who and what defines that God. He has to, he has to be different from his creation. He has to be absolutely not in need of anything from the creation. He has to have knowledge. He has to be all powerful. He has to be independent. And all these attributes that are absolutely, they are a necessity for anybody that you call God. Some things will have to be what? They are not compulsory for Allah, but jaiz. They would be right if we attribute them to God. For example, if I say Allah is merciful, is it compulsory that He is merciful? Is it compulsory? It doesn't define. It doesn't define His essence. It's just an attribute that He has that what with which He relates with His creation. I've decided to show mercy to my creation. He can decide I'm not showing mercy to them. I'm just blank, right? So there's some attributes in Aqidah we learn it that are what they are necessity for whoever we call God. Some of them are just optional, and some of them are what impossible. It's impossible that God is described with what powerlessness. You can't describe God with ignorance. That would be the opposite of what of the necessary attribute of Allah. So these are the areas that we're looking at in terms of what you will use what to verify and rectify and make right your what iman. You have to know it about Allah. Now you have to know similar things about who? The prophets. What are the compulsory attributes of the prophet? What are the jawaz, things that are acceptable? Can prophets be sick? Yes, they can be sick because they're humans. Can prophets tell lies? No, they cannot. Because if there's a possibility that they tell lies, then there's a possibility that the message that they're giving to us can be a lie. Can be a lie. And that's not possible. Can they be foolish? No, a foolish person cannot deliver the message of God. There are four attributes of the prophet that are wajib upon them. The other ones that are possible. Then we have to also check our belief about the angels, the day of judgment, and this and that, all the attributes of it. So those are the things that you need to know. To what? Sound iman. And that's what the Sheikh mean by what? Awalu ma yajibu. Read it. Fardu aini. So the first thing is what? Tashihu imani. Making your iman is right. Believing that there's another prophet after the prophet, your iman, something is wrong with your iman. So you have to what? Tashihu imani. Your iman have to be sound. So how do you make your iman sound? You have to learn about who is Allah, what are the rights of Allah, what are the attributes of Allah and His prophets and the angels, and that's a complete subject that we're treating, and that's what we'll be learning what in Kharidatu al-Bahiyya. And that's why the Sheikh is not focusing on that. Because if your iman is not right, whatever you are learning in fiqh, I've given this example before, right? My friend in school who is a non-Muslim says, I like your salah. Muhammad, can I come and do salah with you? He's making salah. The salah is what? Why? Because have iman. So if something is wrong with your iman, your act of worship is what? Waste. And that's why you have to fix your iman first. It won't count. See, oh, Muhammad, I want to respect you because I love you, my good friend. In Ramadan, I see that you are not eating, and I don't want to I love you as my good friend. Inshallah, for 30 days of Ramadan too, I will not eat. And this person is not a Muslim. Does this fast count? No, he's just joking. So iman is the basis of acceptance of what? All your fiqh as a foundation. And that is why, on the flip side, someone has iman, but he has some errors in his actions. Can Allah accept it? Yes. because he has iman. And that's why, even if you see a Muslim who is a sinner, you can't say you are going to hellfire. Because Allah, if he has iman, Allah can overlook his sins. But if he doesn't have iman, no way. So after بعد تصحيح إيمانه, after fixing, making sure that his iman is right, يجب عليه, the next thing that is composed upon him is معرفة, knowing fully what? Deep knowledge of what? ما يصلح به فرض عينه, what he would use to fix is what? فرض عين, المفروض عليه كأحكام الصلاة. For example, I've given this before, I'll just try to recap now so that we can go to the next subject. Is what? فرض عين is what? How did I define فرض عين? Individual responsibility is his responsibility. Meaning that if someone does it for him, it does not count. He has to do it for himself. For example, jihad. Enemies are coming to the Muslim land to fight us. Is it compulsory that every single balig mukallaf goes and repel the enemy? Everybody has to enroll in the army. But if nobody stands up, everybody's looking, it becomes what? A problem for all of us. It becomes what? A responsibility. Some people have to do it. So that's example of fardu al-kifaya. So example, he now says, when I say fardu ayn, what do I mean? Ka-ahkam as-salah, like the rulings of salah. Why is it important that we know the rulings of salah? The rulings of salah will help us what? To differentiate between what is compulsory and what is sunnah and what is fadila. That's how you know, oh, I was making my salah, but I forgot to say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim in my ruku'. What happens to your salah? So you say, oh, I have to make that salah again. That's ignorance. Because you didn't know that that part that you missed is not compulsory. It doesn't. You get it? So knowing, oh, this is the compulsory aspect. This is the sunnah aspect of my salah. Oh, this is what I will do to make my salah invalid. If I do this, my salah is still okay. If you don't know it, you are wasting your time. You have to know it. You play soccer. If I'm struggling in the box, what you call it, is it box 18 or whatever, and I hit someone, what does it count as? Penalty? If you don't know that rule, you know, I can do this in midfield. I can't do this in box 18, right? Someone wants to make a goal kick, you go and attack him. You don't know what you're doing, right? So knowing the rules of the game, look at it from that perspective. Your salah, your zakah, your hajj, your business transaction, everything that we do with actions. So will be what? You give example. You have to know this about all your ibadah. All your ibadah. What tahara? What constitutes what? Purification. Oh, this is najasa. This is impurity. If this drops on my clothes, I can't make salah with that clothes. You get it? If I'm having my hide, menses or whatever, or what are the rulings? Is important. If I wake up with janaba, what other example do I want to bring? I was walking in front of Muhammad's house, and some water is flowing out there, and I was on the roadside, maybe in winter, and a car drives and it splashes some water on my clothes. I'm not even sure whether it's najasa or not. What's the ruling? And I'm on my way to the mosque. Should I continue to go to the mosque or go back home and change my clothes? You have to know what is pure, what is impure. What kind of water can I use? If I don't find water, how do I do all these rulings? Ahkam tahara. Fasting. And ila akhiri ma hunalik. He just gave these three examples so that what? We can know when does zakah become compulsory upon me. So, akramakumullah. So all these things are important. Today, and I want to say this sarah, you see an adult, he doesn't know the compulsory part of salah, the sunnah part of salah, and he says, Sheikh, I want to learn. You say, what do you want to do? Say, I want to learn tajweed. How does that sound? Awwalu ma yajibu. You have to memorize that text, you know. So that's why I'm making you to read it over and over again. So that what? You get familiar with it. أول ما يجب على المكلف تصحيح ثم معرفة يصلح به فرض عينه. آمين يا رب يا شيخ تاج الدين. So today people get busy with what is not فرض عين. Inshallah, I want to learn idgham, izhar, ikhfa. I want to even be able to read like today. Say, أعوذ بالله. You don't even know how to make salah. So يعني الأولويات, knowing your priorities. Today, nobody is studying Akhdari again. They want to start with Sahih Bukhari. Nobody wants to go to Ibtidaiya. They want to start from Sanawi. They are all over the internet arguing. They don't even know Akhdari. يتقولون على مشايخنا. They are saying our mashayikh are old. Yeah, are you going to all those madrasa? Bid'ah. We say, subhanallah, wallahi, you have not even studied Akhdari. You don't even know the basic book. This is not about your age. You have to start from the basis. Because someone is old now, he's not going to elementary school, he's not going to high school. He wants to start at university because he's 40-year-old and he's never gone to school. Who cares about your age? Why is this important? It's important so that those of us who are parents, you should know that put your kids in the madrasa at early stage so that when they are at the age of buluk, 13 years or 14 years, it's not that time that they are struggling to read the Quran. You get it? Before they reach the age of buluk, they should have completed the Quran. So that they start learning what? أول ما يجب حيه إيمانه ثم معرفة ما يصلح به فرض عينه. Someone is talking to you. Inshallah, you say, no, tell him, أول ما يجب على المكلف. Ask him, say, Sheikh, dear sir, dear ma, please, what is the first thing that is compulsory upon you if you become a mukallaf? Some people do not even know. If I tell you this may be funny. If you become a Muslim today, the only most important thing for you to learn is just to learn how to read Fatiha. With Fatiha, your salah is okay. I become a Muslim today. What is the most compulsory thing for me? Okay, salah is compulsory. What is compulsory in my salah? Fatiha. If the person can read Fatiha easily, let him go and learn ahkam of fiqh. He can learn other surah later. Someone is accepting Islam today, he wants to recite like Sudais. What's wrong with you? Who is your teacher? Who is teaching you that? So the problem in the world today is what? Not knowing our what? Prioritiys. What is that? You don't know the first thing to do. So awwalu, and this is why I like Akhdari. It's told you point blank, awwalu ma yajibu alal mukallafi. The first thing you should know. So لا تغتروا أنكم الحمد لله أكملتم قراءة القرآن. That's just basics for babies. Now, alhamdulillah, I can read the Quran. That's baby knowledge. Now you are starting what? Real knowledge. Fiqh, your iman, aqidah, iman, tawheed, call it whatever you want to call it. Then what? Fiqh. At least your salah. Because you make salah 5 times a day. You can say, inshallah, I just became a Muslim today. I make sure that before next Ramadan, I learn the ahkam of fasting. Because fasting, not until then. Hajj, inshallah, I can learn it when I want to do Hajj. Importantly, the knowledge of business transaction. Most people do not learn it. You have a house, you are renting a house, you are renting a house, or you are renting out a house. You have to know the ahkam of buyu, tijara. You are even entering a cab, agreements. All these things are act. If you have money, then you can be talking about zakat. But salah, tahara, and that's why this book ends what? In salah. Just a small book. Tahara and salah, most important thing for you. You do it every day. نسأل الله تعالى أن يوفقنا ويوفقكم لما يحب ويرضى وأن يوسع لنا في العلم والرزق. Yes, Allah to grant us this. Let's do what do you have in this hadith? Ya Rab.